Hello everybody, my name is Sally Roberts. I'm with Rise Up West Virginia, and I am here with members of Common Defense and West Virginia Citizens Action Group, and we are here today on our January 6th Vets for Democracy and our Freedom to Vote, Hold Them Accountable Day of action. And what we're here today is to uplift the threats to our democracy. On January 6th, we all saw something that none of us can deny. Our Capitol was stormed. Our regular order of transfer of power was interrupted, and our democracy was laid at stake. And we're here today to say this matters. They have not stopped. It happened because people were lied to, good people. People were told that our votes weren't counted. They were counted. It was an election like any other election. But they are still lying about it. And so today we're here to say we won't take it any longer. These people that are attacking our freedoms, our civil rights, our human rights, are out to attack our very democracy, and we have to vote in this election. We have to elect people who are committed to our way of government. We have to elect those who will protect our rights to vote and our civil rights. And with that, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Kristen Olsen, who is going to introduce us and get us taken off. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sally. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here today. It is a beautiful day to fight for freedom. My name is Kristen Olsen. I'm a Christian mother. I'm a teacher and an activist. I want to open first by recognizing that the land we gather on today is not our own, and acknowledge and honor the indigenous people from whom this land was stolen. We have a long way to go to gain freedom for all in our nation, and it's going to take all of us working together to get there, and that's why we're here today. We are gathered here today to declare that no one is free until we're all free. And in the face of those who would seek to take us backwards, we will not be silent as injustice seeks to take us down. We will not be silent as we see the blatant bigotry highlighted day after day, just by even the way January 6th has been handled or not handled on so many levels. Because we all know that if that crowd on that day had not been made up of people that look primarily like me, that we wouldn't even be here right now. Because they would have been stopped long before anything that even looked like anything got started, let alone an insurrection. We have to rally and beg for justice against white domestic terrorists to be held accountable. Meanwhile, our black and brown brothers and sisters aren't safe at a traffic stop in this country, aren't safe while jogging down the street or taking a walk wearing a hoodie. Oh, we have a long way to go to gain freedom for all in this nation, and we can't afford not one single step backwards. Absolutely none of us are free until all of us are free. We need to vote like our lives depend on it in November, because they do. Now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, a veteran and a member of Common Defense, His name is Chase, and I'm going to mess up his last name. Chase Blinko Looper. I'd like to welcome him to the stage. Thank you so much for taking the time out of his day, for being here with us.
Thank you. My name is Chase Slinko Looper, and I'm a disabled Army veteran from Parkersburg, West Virginia, and a proud member of Common Defense, which is the largest veteran-led grassroots organization in the nation. January 6th was a violent and deadly attack against all Americans, against our country, our democracy, and our freedom as voters to choose the leaders representing us, so that we have a government of, by, and for the people. The nation sat and watched as those who claimed to be patriots stormed the nation's capital and try and overturn the most sacred right that we have as Americans, a free and just transfer of power to the winner of the presidential election. Fueled by the instigations of a wannabe dictator, through violence and rage, the insurrectionists attempted to overturn a fair and free election. The promise of democracy is not a partisan issue, but a calling that unites us all as Americans. To prevent this kind of attack from ever happening again, our elected leaders must do something that will protect this country from anti-democratic forces who are continuing their efforts to destroy it. The months-long conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election, culminating in the January 6th attack by right-wing militants, demonstrates the dangers facing our nation and further underscores the urgency with which we need to transform our political system into one that works for all Americans. And that's why, as I stand here today, I rededicate my life, my oath, to the Constitution, to this country, and to the great state of West Virginia, that I, Chase Slinko Looper, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign or domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same for our reproductive freedom, racial justice, climate justice, and for our democracy, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully continue these duties as a veteran and as an American, so help me God. As always, Montini Semper Liberi.
Thank you, Chase. That was a beautiful and brilliant speech. Now we would like to hear from Gary Zucker, the president of CAG, West Virginia Citizens Action Group. And Gary, take it away.
Thank you, Sally. Thanks for inviting me to be up here today to speak about this. I am the executive director of West Virginia Citizen Action. And Citizen Action is a founding member of the West Virginia New Jobs Coalition that is working to bring a just transition here in West Virginia. And to have a just transition, we need to have free and open elections. We need to preserve our democracy. You've heard a lot of talk today so far, and rightly so, about the January 6th insurrection. And let's just be plain. This was a pre-planned coup d'etat to block the peaceful transition of power in this country. And a smarter person than me has said that a coup d'etat without repercussions is just a practice run. We really need to keep the perpetrators of this insurrection on January 6th accountable, from the highest levels of government to the folks that actually broke into the Capitol. But that's not the only threat we have to our democracy. We have this ruling called Citizens United versus the FEC, and that is over a decade ago, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that corporations were people, and that they could spend as much money, and they equated money as free speech, so they could have as much free speech and spend as much money buying our elections as they wanted to. And as soon as that happened, we started to see states flipping, and West Virginia flipped it several years later. So what we're having now is, instead of one person, one vote, we're having $1, one vote, and those people that have the most dollars basically get the most votes. With the dark money PACs, we don't even know if it's foreign money in these PACs because it's not disclosed. So we need to vote. We need to vote as if our democracy depends on it, because it does. We need to vote for folks who will fix Citizens United. We need to vote for folks that will protect our democracy, that will make it easier to vote and not harder to vote. And with the new redistricting that's happening, we have challenges to just figuring out where to vote right now. And the other thing I would like to say, and then I'll wrap things up here, is that we have on the ballot this time, the early voting is starting just next week and will continue until the Saturday before Election Day. But there are 4 constitutional amendments on the ballot that the folks in the State House up here, the Republican supermajority, have put on the ballot for the voters to approve or disapprove. And we would like to suggest that voters disapprove 1, 2, and 4 on those. Number 1 is the power grab of the legislature to block any court interference in their process when they impeach a justice or they impeach anybody. This really alters the balance of power, the balance of power in our government, and it's not a good thing. Number 2, you've heard probably the most about, which would allow the legislature to eliminate about a quarter of the county's property tax revenue. Again, this is a big power grab. And number 4 is the one that would allow the legislature to veto basically any kind of policies by our state board of education. It's a power grab to take over the state board of education. So the only good one is number 3, and that's the one about the churches, to let the churches be corporations, which they already can do. So it's no big deal. But I just wanted to leave you with that. Get out and vote. Vote as if your democracy depends on it, because it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you all. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Chase. Thank you, Gary, for a really important speeches today, for an important discussion about the absolute necessity to vote November 8th. Our democracy depends on it. Our courts depend on it. Our lives depend on it. So get out and vote. I feel wonderful that we have veterans like Chase who are out there protecting our freedoms. Thank you, Chase. Thank you to all the veterans out there who have given yourselves, your treasure, your time, your very bodies, your lives to protect us all. And thank you all for listening in today and being here. And we'll see you at the polls. Woo.